All right, you should have a notes page. You need to make sure that you are taking notes along the way. I will collect these notes. I want to see them to make sure that you watch the video. It is a quick lesson. It should not take much time, okay? All right, so we're going to talk about reflections. We've been talking about the coordinate plane, okay, which are number lines that a horizontal number line and a vertical number line. So let's just talk about a couple things. If I wanted to know the opposite of 6, here is 6. So the opposite of 6 would just be -6. All right, go through and do these. What's the opposite of -5? What's the opposite of 2? You do that for me. All right, the opposite of 5 would just be +5. And the opposite of 2 would just be -2. So my question is, how would you describe an opposite number? How would you describe an opposite number? I know some kids might say, well, if you have -6, that's +6. So one has a negative, one has a positive. Okay. If I was -5 and +5, one's a negative, one's not, which is absolutely fine. One thing I do kind of want you to look at is they are the same distance from 0. They are the same distance from 0. Same distance from 0. Okay, so write that down. Okay. So what a reflection does is it flips a figure over the line of reflection in order to create a mirror image. So it's just flipping it over one of the axes, either the x-axis or the y-axis. And we're going to draw some pictures, so this will make a little bit better sense once we get the pictures drawn. So each reflected point of the figure should be the same distance from the line of symmetry, or where we started. When we are looking at a reflection, the very first image might be represented with just a letter, but the reflected image would have like a little asterisk up there. Would have a little asterisk. Okay? So just write this down and then we're going to talk about it. We'll have an example. All right, so let's look at the examples that you have on your paper. All right, so if I look down here, we're going to highlight and identify the line of reflection in the following. So if you look at this is what I'm asking for. Remember, this is my x-axis. This is my x. This is my y. Okay, x and y. Ooh, I wish I could draw. Let's see. Let's see if I can draw a straighter line. Okay, that is my y-axis. Okay? All right, so if you look at this, do you see how this picture, or this one, I don't know which one we started with, is just going over that line. So it is going over this line. So I want you to draw something over this. And my question to you is, what axis is that? Look up here. That is your y-axis. Okay, so it is being reflected over the y-axis. Let's look at this one. Do you see that this figure is being reflected over to here? So it is being reflected over this one. So which axis is that one? Yep, that is your x-axis. And then if I look here, this one is being reflected over to there. So it is being flipped over the y-axis. Okay, so we're looking to see how they've been reflected. All right, so let's look at a couple pictures here. Let's look at a couple pictures. All right, so Sylvia reflected the original point to create a new image shown to the right. All right, so this is the pre-image. This is the one you started with. Oh, sorry. This is your pre-image. This is where you started, okay? And then you moved to that one, okay? You moved to that one. So first of all, what is the line of reflection? Am I going over the x-axis or am I going over the y? I'm going over the x-axis. That is my x-axis. So I'm going over the x. Going over the x. What quadrant was the original located in? This is the original. What quadrant is that? Do you remember? Remember, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So the original one, the pre-image, was in quadrant 1. What quadrant is the new one in? Quadrant 4. And what do I notice about the ordered pairs? So if you look at this number and this number, this is the original, 3, 4. This is the new one, 3, negative 4. What are you noticing? Hopefully you are noticing that the numbers are the same, it's just their positive or negative, okay? Hopefully you noticed that the 3, which is your x value, actually stayed the exact same. But the y value just changed from a positive to a negative, okay? Hopefully you saw that. So the x value remained the same, but the y value changed signs. So write that down. So if you notice, we reflected over the x, and the x stayed the same. Only the y changed. So write that down. All right, let's move on. All right, so this is not on your on your sheet. I'm just going to do it really quick. So if you want to just watch me. So I'm going to reflect this figure over the y-axis. First, I need to know which axis. So I'm going over the y. So this is my y-axis. So I know I need to flip over this one. So that means I need to go from here over to there. So in order to flip it, I'm always going to look at my y-axis. Okay, so this is how I do it. If I look here, from my y-axis, I moved 2 places to get to A. So I'm going to move 2 places to get to A on this side. 1, 2. So this is going to be my reflected A. So remember, I'm going to put a little thing up there. Okay. To get to my B, I went 1, 2, 3, 4. So from here, I'm going to go 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some of you might have also said, well, Miss Rankin, they're just 2 apart. I could have gone here. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Now from C, from the y-axis, I went 1, 2 places, so I'm going to go 2 here. 1, 2. That's my reflected one. So now it's kind of easy to make D. D is just right there. D is reflected. Okay? So then I can do that. All right? All right, so let's test some out. Let's go to your next page. All right, so this is on the back of yours. So the first thing I want you to do is write the pre-image. I want you to write the value of these coordinates for me. So pause the video. Pause it, show integrity, pause the video, and write down what are the coordinates of this one. So remember, for x, you're going to go over 2, so negative 2, comma, and then I got to go up to 4. So that's your pre-image. So go through and do y and w. All right, check your work. All right, so now I'm going to make my my next one. So I need to figure out what axis I'm going across the x, so over the y. So there's my y. So I'm going to go from here over to here. Okay, so my x from here, it's 2 away, so I go 1, 2. This is my x. My w from here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to go 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's my w. And then my y from here is 7. So I got to go 7 here. That's my y, and then I'm going to connect them. Right? So now I'm going to do my, what are the points of these? So my x value is going to be 2, 4. 2, 4. My y value is going to be 7, 2. My w is going to be 7, 6. Okay? So let's again look at our values from the pre-image to the reflected one. The only thing that changed, remember I'm reflecting over the y. So in this case, did my y values change at all? No. So my y did not change. But my x values went from negative values to positive. So they went from negative to positive. Now, if you thought about it, don't you remember that quadrant 1 is always positive, positive? So that's another way to think about that. Okay? All right, so I want you to pause the video and I want you to do this one for me. Do it all together. So do the pre-image first, and then you're going to do... All right, check your answers. Check your answers. All right, so again, your x values stayed the exact same because you were flipping over the x-axis, and your y values went from negative to positive. Okay? All right, so once you have finished all of these notes, then you may continue on with your class kick. I will collect those notes when I come back. All right, have a great day.